You shrink in conversations, so you don't take up too much space. You hesitate before asking for help, and then usually decide not to. When someone does something for you, you feel guilty. Not just grateful, guilty. Like you owe them something you can never fully repay. And there is this quiet background voice that is always running that says, you are too much, or you are not enough, or both at the same time. That voice has a name, and it did not start with you. It started with something that happened to you, long before you had the language to describe it. And today, we need to talk about where it came from, why it is still running, and what it is quietly costing you. Feeling like a burden is not a personality trait. It is not humility, and it is not modesty. It is a conclusion, one that was drawn very early in life in a specific environment by a nervous system that was trying to make sense of something it did not have the tools to fully understand. The child who feels like a burden did not arrive at that conclusion randomly. They arrived at it because something in their early relational environment communicated it to them. Sometimes explicitly, sometimes through neglect, sometimes through the subtle but powerful message that their needs created problems, that their emotions were inconvenient, that love was something that had to be carefully managed rather than freely given. What the child learns in that environment is a devastating equation. My needs cost people something, and that cost puts the relationship at risk, and relationships are survival. So the safest thing I can do is need as little as possible. Stop asking. Stop taking up too much space. Manage my own pain quietly. Make myself easy to be around. And the child who learns this equation does not grow out of it simply by growing up. They carry it forward into every friendship, every romantic relationship, every interaction with God, where needing something feels like an imposition and receiving grace feels almost suspicious. The psychological term for this pattern is what researchers call the rejected attachment cry. In healthy attachment, when a child is distressed, they reach toward their caregiver, and the caregiver comes. That simple experience, reach and receive, is the foundation of a nervous system that believes it is safe to have needs. But when reaching is consistently met with absence, irritation, or the implicit message that the child is too much, something profound shifts. The child learns to suppress the reach, not because the need disappears. Needs never disappear, but because expressing the need has become associated with loss rather than relief, with distance rather than closeness, and that association becomes a blueprint that the nervous system carries into every relationship that follows. This is why feeling like a burden is so insidious in Christian contexts specifically, because the very theology that should offer relief sometimes confirms the wound. The person who already believes their needs are an imposition hears dying to self and internalizes it as further evidence that their needs should be suppressed. They hear, it is better to give than to receive, and use it as a spiritual framework for what is actually a trauma response. They hear, be content in all circumstances, and interpret it as permission to stop acknowledging that they are hurting. The faith becomes another layer of the original wound rather than the healing of it. But Galatians 6:2 says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Notice what that verse presupposes. It presupposes that you have burdens, that they are real, that they are meant to be shared. The verse does not say, carry other people's burdens while pretending you have none. It says carry each other's. The mutuality is the point. A person who cannot receive cannot participate in that mutuality. They can only give, which means they are not in community. They are in service, and service, without the capacity to receive, is not Christlike self-giving. It is a wound wearing the mask of virtue. So what does feeling like a burden actually look like in daily life? Because most people who carry this pattern have never named it clearly. They only feel its effects, scattered across their relationships, never quite connecting the dots back to the same source. It looks like over-explaining, justifying why you need something before you've even asked, as if preemptive explanation might reduce the cost of the request. It looks like minimizing. It's not a big deal. I'm probably overreacting. No, never mind. Shrinking the need before it can be rejected. It looks like deflecting help. Someone offers to do something for you, and you insist you're fine, even when you're not, because receiving feels more uncomfortable than struggling alone. It looks like chronic overgiving, doing far more than is required in every relationship, as if the surplus of giving might balance out the debt of simply being present. And it looks like something subtler and more painful than any of those. It looks like the quiet belief that if people truly knew how much you needed, they would leave. That your full self, not the curated version, not the version that has its emotions mostly managed, but the raw, actual, full version, is something that people can only tolerate in small doses. And so you give them small doses. You manage yourself on their behalf, continuously, exhaustingly, and usually without anyone asking you to. Here is the truth that healing requires you to receive. The people who love you did not sign up for a curated version of you. They signed up for you, and the version of you that is constantly shrinking, constantly apologizing for existing, constantly managing yourself to protect them from the full cost of knowing you, is not closeness. It is a very sophisticated form of loneliness. You are in the relationship, but you are not in it. You are performing a version of yourself that has been pre-edited for their comfort, and that performance, however loving its intention, creates a distance between you and the people who could actually receive you. Healing this pattern begins not with behavior change, but with belief revision. Specifically, the revision of the conclusion drawn in childhood that your needs cost more than they are worth. That conclusion was not a fact. It was an interpretation made by a child without full information in a specific set of circumstances that no longer define your life. And interpretations can be revised. The revision does not happen overnight. It happens through experience, through the accumulated evidence of relationships where you expressed a need, and the world did not end, where you asked for something, and the relationship survived the asking, where you took up space, and were not asked to shrink back. Each of those experiences is a small update to the blueprint. The nervous system is slow to change, but it changes. If what we've talked about today is something you want to go deeper with, I created a structured 7-day journey to help you calm your mind and begin working through the patterns your nervous system has been carrying. It's called the 7-Day Guided Journey to Calm Your Mind. The link is in the description below. It's practical, it's gentle, and it's built for exactly this kind of inner work. Take the next step at your own pace. Subscribe to this channel. Every week I create content at the intersection of psychology and Christian faith because your inner life matters, and you deserve the language to understand it. You are not alone in this.